Today in America, the prevalence of childhood and adolescent obesity for children ages 2 to 19 years old is about 17% in the U.S. And that's found by the Journal of American Medical Association. And 17% doesn't necessarily sound like a lot, but it's about 12.7 million people that are affected by it. A lot of the schools continue to cut budgets, and usually the first programs to go are PE programs. So I propose that physical education should not be cut and is necessary in educational systems to lead kids on to a healthier lifestyle. My 3 supporting points: 1, active children thrive academically and socially. The second is quality physical education will help reduce childhood and adolescent obesity. And the third is physical education teaches kids how to carry on with healthy minds and healthy bodies for a lifetime. So my first point, active children thrive academically and socially. According to the American Heart Association, studies show that normal weight children have higher scholastic achievement and less absences, which also helps in developing the child as a whole in the learning environment and social settings. Also, according to Heidi Godman, who is a member of the American Academy of Neurology, states that exercise helps children's memories through indirect and direct ways. It can, quote, reduce insulin resistance, reduce inflammation, and stimulate the release of growth factors. It can also improve the mood and sleep of the person and reduce stress and anxiety. The second point I have is quality physical education will help reduce childhood and adolescent obesity. Statistics from the American Heart Association and the American Stroke Association shows that all U.S. deaths for major chronic diseases, 23% of them are linked to sedentary lifestyles. Now, I'm guessing all of you have been through at least one PE class, so I can assume that you guys might have had bad teachers, you guys might have had good teachers, but in general, I can say that most of them are not that great. They're losing fire, especially the older ones in the program, as that's my major and I've been through this a lot last year. So quality comes from respect for the job, and all teachers don't have the respect that demand from the job. So with that being said, there aren't a lot of quality physical education programs out there. There are physical education programs out there already, but according to the American Heart Association, only 3.8% of elementary, 7.9% of middle, and 2.1% of high schools provide daily physical education or its equivalent for the entire school year. 22% of schools do not require students to take any physical education at all. So there are already programs out there, but there aren't that many quality programs out there from what I've seen, from what my professors have told me about and seen themselves. So we need to be able to spread the quality programs, get that rolling, get them created, to be able to supply them with the resources to be able to provide for the kids the knowledge that they need to be able to live a healthier lifestyle. Last point is physical education teaches them how to carry on with healthy bodies and healthy minds for a lifetime. This is observed from the American Heart Association, and they said that kids learn to incorporate safe and healthy activities into their lives that can carry on throughout their lifetime through physical education. And as for a healthy mind, Heidi Godman again said that exercise releases endorphins, which improves your mood and your sleep patterns, and also reduces stress and anxiety. There's also a cardiologist named Jonathan Myers who also had a study that showed the relationship between exercise and cardiovascular disease, and found that, quote, exercise promotes weight reduction and can help reduce blood pressure. Exercise can reduce bad cholesterol levels in the blood, which is lipoprotein levels, low-density lipoprotein levels, as well as the total cholesterol, and can raise the good cholesterol, which is high-density lipoprotein. If you guys don't know, low-density lipoprotein is the cholesterol that creates plaque in your arteries, which then clogs up arteries that can lead to heart attacks or strokes. So exercise does lengthen and improve the quality of one's life. In conclusion, physical education is necessary in educational systems to lead kids to a healthier lifestyle by teaching them by providing them with the resources, with the knowledge, with the tools that teachers, quality teachers, are able to provide them with. One, because active children thrive academically and socially. Two, quality physical education will help reduce childhood and adolescent obesity. And three, physical education teaches kids how to carry out their lives with healthy bodies and healthy minds for a lifetime. Thank you.
All right, Sydney, several good things in the presentation. I think on the evidence, for instance, you have a lot of testimony evidence. You cite the authorities pretty well. You cite organizations and institutions that offer a variety of testimony based on research that's done. There's a little bit of statistical information I think you could probably do with a little bit more. I do think some examples would be helpful in a couple of spots to make the argument more tangible and real to people. The one place that I think there's a little bit of a problem is that we often get conclusions about the benefits of exercise, which I don't think are in a lot of dispute. And what we need is information about the benefits of physical education programs, because you're kind of equivocating the two things as if they are the same thing, and I'm not sure that that's the case. You mentioned, for instance, on their third point that it creates a lifelong learning patterns and that sort of thing. Well, then I would assume that that would be true of people who have gone through those programs and had physical education, especially in high school or elementary school. Let's have some data about how they're doing. Are they still physically active? You know, is your likelihood of participating in a sport, for instance, in high school, is there a correlation between that and long-term exercise practices and health and that sort of thing? That's the stuff that helps make that inference that you're talking about. So I appreciate the argument that you're making about health, but I don't think that's the part that's in big dispute. The part that's in dispute is, does requiring kids to take a PE class make any difference in the long run to those kids? You know, I do think that you had some very good information, like I said, about the limits of health PEA programs for kids in elementary schools, high schools, and so on. I thought you had better information on that than I've heard on this argument before, because I've heard this kind of argument on numerous occasions. The first question I always have is, isn't PE required? What schools are not providing this kind of activity for folks? And nobody's had any kind of quantification, and you have that. And I think that that's a good step for that particular argument. It's very nicely organized. There's an excellent preview at the beginning of the speech. You signpost the individual points as you're going through, so it's very easy to follow. And I think you do a good job speaking to the audience for the whole time that you're speaking. Also, plus you add a little bit of personal credibility, having suggested that this is your field. And you know, like I said, I think the presentation also helps your credibility. All right, thank you.